later.
You alright? How you doing? Happy New Year. I hope you're alright. So, latest video. If you remember last time I did the Hobby Boss 1 in 48 Tornado IDS. But even though today is 15th January 2022, I still haven't been down to see my old man that's doing my runway for that particular build, as I'm doing a diorama. And that was, I sort of gave him that before Christmas last year. But with COVID and restrictions and working, I just had the time to go down. So that's sort of on hold as that one. In the meantime, one of the lads at Club Marc Bridge, hope you're well. He says to me, will you do me a favour, Mark? Will you build me a 41 Squadron 1 in 48 GR4 Tornado? Because Mark was an armourer down there for many years, and obviously it's his squadron, so yeah, of course I'll build it for you, mate. Why wouldn't I? Get that. That's how cold it is in here, and I've got 2 hoodies on. So here we go again. So it's the usual, that one. Okay. It's the Tornado GR4 whitetail with red cross on it. Now, even though I've built, this is the 11th Revell 1 in 48 Tornado that I've built. I know that Andy down at Zone 5 will be like, 11? Chuffing hell, mate, build something else, will you? Like everybody else's, but like I keep saying, I enjoy it. I enjoy them, alright? And I've just posted onto my Facebook groups, and I'll post all over. And I've concluded after 11, it's taken me 11 to conclude that this kit is a bitch, but so satisfying in equal measure to build. Because if you do it wrong, if you're not comfortable with your own skill and you take this kit on and you think, oh, flaps down option, buckets out option, yeah, I'll have a bash at that. If you're not comfortable with what you can achieve yourself, this kit will absolutely destroy you. Now, you're like, jog on, Mark. You know what I mean? Whatever. But seriously, it will absolutely. It's a soul destroying kit. What you built 11 of them for? Well, I love tornadoes, and I'm kind of in a place where every time I build one, I sort of get better, if you will. Now, I've already built a 1 in 48 41 Squadron. I think it's there. It's just there, look. And actually last night I got that one out and compared the two. And I am going to have a look back through my photos on how long it is since I built that one. But even with that time span, the difference is just unbelievable of what I've learned myself. Because on that one, it's like buckets in, you know, buckets in, and flaps were on wrong and one thing and another. But at the time, that's what I knew. So from that, I suppose the message is that, you know, you develop yourself over time, don't you? And with this being a bit of a commission build, he hasn't paid me for it. He has actually given me a kit today for doing this build for him. I've not looked at it yet, but I do believe it's a Kitty Hawk Jag, a 1 in 48 Jag. And if it's still in Baltic car because we've just finished club. And if that is the case, then Mark, thanks a lot, mate. Absolutely spot on. I have already built one Jag. It was the Revell one, and the nose art. I think it's sort of like coming towards you, and it's up here somewhere. Yeah, it's up there somewhere. And I suppose in the scheme of things, you know, it's like you get some builders that will repeat the builds. Obviously with me it's Tornadoes, with some it's Phantoms. I'm also part of Phantom SIG, Tornadoes, Eurofighters, Spitfires. You know, my mate Ev down in Wales loves Spitfires and World War II stuff, same as that Alistair down at club. Loves that stuff. Now, no wrong with it, you know, you're building your comfort zone, and every now and again I suppose you come out of it, if you will. I'm going to come out of it next. I've got a T34 to do, a 1 in 16. But for my comfort zone, it's Tornadoes, it's this Revell one, and like I said, it's an absolute beast, because this kit is all about sub-assemblies. Now, I suppose I could rattle on really, but I've done other videos. I'm not going to add links and stuff, just scroll through my YouTube shit and you'll see that. About all the different variants that I've done. The IDS, the GR1, the 1 in 32s, 1 in 48s, I've even done a 1 in 72, a 1 in 144. I've knocked them all out there. But I keep getting drawn back to this kit. Now, obviously, I've built this kit at this particular time for Marc. Okay, so a little bit different. I weren't going to build a Tornado after I'd done that IDS one. I was actually going to drop on to the tank, but I thought, well, it's Marc's birthday, he's 21 in a couple of days, do a bit of VAT. Happy birthday, mate. It's mine tomorrow, I'm 51. I was going to drop onto the tank, but I just thought, do you know what, I think where I work, I got that sort of week off in between Christmas and New Year, and then because at weekend, and then you've got your bank holiday Monday, and I've got 11 days off. So I thought, well, I've got 11 good days there that I can crack on with, because I know this kit inside out. And, you know, sort of like a couple of hours on the night time, I can finish it off to a standard as well. You know, I can't rush it off. Even though it's only taken me like 2 weeks to build it, to do it, to finish it off, it hasn't taken 2 weeks. I always say this, it's taking 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. I've been sat in here in garage while 2 o'clock in the morning, and then back up at 7 o'clock in the morning to come back in, and before I take kids to school, it's like, right, yes, I did do that last night, that's brilliant, because now that means that tonight when I get home from work, I can crack on with this particular part, and it's about working smart, not hard. So from working smart, sub-assemblies. Okay, Revell 1 in 48 GR4 sub-assemblies, that's all it is. You'll get them together, you'll get them finished off, and before you know it, within the space of 2 or 3 days, it's like, boof, kit's done. So I've got some notes in front of me. I'm going to have to put my specs on because my eyesight's getting worse. Now, on the instructions, it does tell you to start in office. It gives you all your usual stuff about paint guide, what not to glue and what to glue and all that sort of stuff. And then straight off the bat, sprue guide. And then you're onto your seats and your front end and all that stuff, and, you know, da-di-da. Right. For me, backwards builder. So I'm going to have to look at my notes. Well, not really. Get my eyes on. Backwards builder. Armament. So there's 2 fuel tanks, there's 4 pylons, there's a BOS pod, and a little bit of something else on the other side, I can't remember what we call it, and 2 missiles. When I say backwards builder, so when I've got all my sprues in my sprue stand, which I'll show you there, the first sprue that I go for, armament. Get them fuel tanks knocked off with the pylons. Now, when I say knocked off, this is the best way to build this kit as well, in my opinion. Reach for your sprue, do the armaments, the pylons, the fuel tanks first. That's glued, sanded, filled and sanded, you know the crack. Primed, painted, glossed and decaled. Done. All done. Put them to one side. While you're doing that, glasses on, while you're doing that, don't look at reflection on top of my head. So armament first, including pylons, right? When you've done that, when you've done all that, the exhaust at the back, which is, you know, it's 2 halves, bit in back, paint inside there. Get that done, get that knocked off. Your back end, which is 2 halves, glue them together, chuck it in your plastic tub, sand it, obviously, you know, and make sure that it's ready to fit. Refueling probe, get that ready. Mask your canopy off, get that done. Put your rudder, 2 halves of rudder together. Put the brace across for the aerial system that fits inside. clip that in, glue that. You have to watch there for ejector pin marks because it's absolutely rife. And all this will save you trouble on further dart line. Glue that tail together, little piece that fits underneath, get that done. Horizontal stabilizers, ejector pin marks, get that glued, get them done, get them out of the way. Then you can start on things that are a little bit trickier, like your flaps. Now, flaps in a closed position are an absolute doddle. Flaps, if you want to challenge yourself, flaps in a downward position, that creates a whole new avenue of pain, absolute pain. Small, brittle, intricate parts that have got very little in terms of mating surface onto the next part. Super glue turns brittle. I found that out this morning because I actually super glued the seat, one of the front seats, into the cockpit last night, and I've come this morning because, like I say, it's been plugged to take it down to him, and the glue has hardened so much in the cold, the glue's failed, it's snapped. Okay. So horizontal stabilizers, flaps, buckets, vertical stabilizer, intakes. Again, on this particular kit, I think it's a couple of parts. Let me just have a look. Yeah, one, two, three or four parts. You can actually build them. There's a seam on inside. You can sand that out. That'll come off easier if you do it this way. Because you know I don't follow instructions at all. Get your pylon system, that little 3-pin bar inside your wings, and again I'm going to put some pictures up showing you how I do it to make it a whole lot better and to make that actual pylon system work. Because you might have built this kit and think, I wish I could have done that bloody pylon system and work fuel tanks move when you sort of move it can be done. But you've got to know in which order to do it, because if you do it according to book, they'll never get it to work, never in a million years. If you do it this way, you've got a fighting chance. Okay, so get your wings together. Don't forget your EPM ejector pin marks because it's absolutely rife in there. Once you've got them on and you've got your sort of bottom bit, and you haven't even started on office yet, not yet. You're on about all these other sub-assemblies that you would have to do a little bit further down the line. Then once you've got your sides on, then there's a little sort of rectangular recess, if you will. That's where your undercarriage strut glues in. Now, to make sure that glues in properly, a little bit of mascal or something inside that little recess, let it go off, don't rush it. And that will, once you come to paint it, then you know what mascal is, you know how it works, right? You can just peel it out, and the surface area that the glue sticks to, it's not full of paint. It's not full of paint, because paint hates glue, as we know. Air brakes, you can see to them. Your 2 front pods for your GR4, your flare and stuff, you can see to them. Let me just have a look. Then office. Once you've got, and again I'm going to keep throwing pictures up here, or I already have done. Once you've started to get all them bits done, built, some you can finish off to a finished state. When you come to put your top section on, then in your bits tub you should already have all those sub-assemblies built. Some of them you should have built to a finished state, which is built, sanded, primed. Look at me looking up there, it's because my head's thinking. Painted, glossed, decaled. I won't go so far, we'll leave it at that, right? I won't go pin wash and I won't go gloss coat because that can come after. But certainly, you know, built, primed, painted, glossed and decaled, and you can leave it there, all right? Buckets you can do to a finished state. Flaps you can do to a finished state because they'll attach on a little bit later, etc, etc. Then I move on to my seats and onto your head-up display and your console, your stake and one thing and another, and get in there done. Once you've done the office to a finished state, that will sit with your undercarriage door underneath. That will sit onto that bottom plate. Then you can put your sides on, and it's almost like you've got your entire front end then, minus the nose. We're not bothered about that just yet. Once you've got those two on and you've got that front end, you've already built the majority of that back half, which is the base plate and the wings on, and your intakes, and the top on. And here's a good picture of what that looks like. And then that front end, it just literally slides down. It is a little bit fiddly. I'm not going to say it's like, you know, no, because it's not. It's a little bit tricky, but it just locks into place. Once that locks into place, this kit is literally built, and it's a whole lot easier to do it like that. All right. So once you've got all that done, it's literally tail on. You haven't put your stabilizers on yet, or your flaps. Don't be doing that. You put your tail on. Then you can put your nose on. Might be a little bit of work to do around that mating surface. Sanding it flush, bit of filler, sanding it flush like you do. Don't forget to add your nose weight. I put a couple of ball bearings in with some blue tack shoved in. Okay, and then once you've done that, the aircraft is literally built. Now, don't forget at this point now, if you've followed the build according to pictures, and what a lot of other people do as well, it's not just me, right? I'm not being an ass. Your buckets are already done. Your stabilizers are already done. Don't need to attach them yet. Your flaps are done. Your undercarriage is done, because now you've got your sides on. You can offer that up and marry all that up and get that sorted, and it's a lot easier to do it like that. You don't put your buckets in. If you watch my other videos, you don't put your buckets in at this point, and you don't put part B66. Again, I've said it before, on page 11, right down in bottom right hand corner, you don't put that onto the bird. You put that onto your exhaust, okay? And it just saves so much headache. And once you've done all that, I'm just looking through the instructions now. You can put your belly pylons on there, no problem. You can do, well, that's it. I've built it. You've built it. And a lot of those sub-assemblies that you've already done to a finished state, once you've primed and painted your bird, it's just a matter of sticking them on. Okay. So, not longest video in the world, this is what it looks like once it's finished, and this is actually being displayed onto a Coastal Kits hanger base. So for the paint, I black based it, and then I did all the individual panel lines with different shades of grey. Obviously the ones on top were lighter, where the sun hits it, and the ones underneath a little bit darker. Different tones of grey. I knew that the overall top coat was going to be a dark sea grey. I've used my the paint that I'm using again now, MRP Dark Sea Grey, which is an MRP 113 if you're interested, and highlighted it with a little bit of Tamiya white, but also some MRP 098, which is a light gold grey, and that's to, you know, give a little bit of definition to those panels. Tail was in white, insignia white, MRP insignia white. Now, even though I harbour on about how good this MRP paint is, what I found with the white and the black especially is because it is so thin. You know, the dark sea grey took like 3 or 4 mist coats, but the white and the black, you know, they can take 5 or 6 coats. Well, that sounds uneconomical to a lot of people. It's not. Persevere with it. It is definitely worth the hassle. I suppose hassle's the wrong word really, isn't it? Because it's not hassle, it's an absolute joy. Okay. So once I've got it all sort of black based and highlighted, and I'm top coating, which came out absolutely gorgeous, I do use my harder, but I'd send that off to be serviced. So in the meantime, I had to revert back to my Bark Sharp 180. Not the 186, because that's what I use for gloss. But I have got a 180. And I've got to admit, I was a little bit, you know, I'm used to harder now. I've used it for 12 months. Is this Bark Sharp going to be up to the job? And it definitely was. You can see with pictures, that paint, I think you could literally blow it through a straw. And it's that good. And it'd turn out absolutely cracking. So once I'd sort of done the belly, I did the belly. I thought I'll do belly first because it's the stuff that's less seen. And I started on belly and I thought, chuffing hell, this is brilliant. This is absolutely fantastic. It were a little bit warmer than this as well. But it's red hot in Australia and New Zealand. Minus 35 last week in Alberta. Medicine Hat, according to Rob. Wasn't it, Rob? I mean, how cold is that? Jesus Christ, minus 35. I digress. So painted it in that, and then did some post shading like we do with a little bit of really, really thin down black, some Tamiya smoke, and then different greys, just highlighting the panels. Glossed it all, decals on, no problem. Inside, outside, job done. Did the tail, a few touch-ups, not much. The black line up the tail didn't need any touch-ups. That went absolutely smooth as silk. And even the red bar across, because that decal can be a little bit tricky. Basically, it sort of shapes, let me come into camera, it shapes like this, and then it goes out. Well, those out sections, I cut them off and I just used that middle bit there. I think it's got the anniversary letter on it in white, and I actually paint that bar in red. And then put that decal on. The trick there is obviously trying to get that decal as close, that paint as close to the match as the decal colour as you possibly can. Okay, glossed it with Alclad 2. I think it's the Alc 600. Got a Freddy Foot down at Telford last November. Cracking gloss, it's brilliant. Okay. Once that was finished, then I have matte coated now. Ooh, confession time. I only matte coated the top. I didn't do the bottom, and it's not because I'm stingy. It's because actually I forgot. It got to crunch time about sort of 2 days ago, and I'm sort of putting finishing touches to this bird. And I'd matte coated the top, but I wanted to do some oil weathering underneath it, and in the sort of hasty building process that I'd done and the painting process that I'd done, I completely forgot that I hadn't matte coated the belly. So again, I'm sort of like, I'm watching YouTube videos and it's how to use oil paints on models, click, and there's a bazillion videos come up, but they're all telling me the same thing, which is get some oil paint, and I use these glasses on. They're from the range in the UK, Daler and Rowney. Okay, I know you can buy them fancy ones, I think they're a German one, but you know, I keep saying it, I've got a wife and kids that take all my cash. So they're like £4 or £5 and you get 8-9 colours. And you can mix them, can't you? You know, blacks and white make grey, for example. So I've got like a dark oak, ochre is it, and a dark brown and a white and a yellow. Squeeze a little bit out onto my piece of cardboard, let the oil come away from the paint. Takes about an hour, 2 hours, but you can leave it for literally days. I mean, I put mine onto a white envelope, okay, because I run out of chuffing cardboard. I did that, look, mine are up there. But this is the result of that. So basically, under the back end where it does get a little bit scorched, that was a paintbrush that was knackered, for want of a better word. I did get 20 brand new paintbrushes from Telford, and I certainly weren't going to use them, but the sort of 30 brushes that I'd swapped, the majority of them are knackered. So I just used one of them, and you're literally just dabbing it on. This is, I watch the YouTube videos, and then get some enamel thinner and just dip it into enamel thinner onto your blue kitchen towel to get rid of all that excess. You don't want it saturated. It just needs to be, you know, it's literally bone dry. It's just got enough enamel thinner on, and then you can just start to blend it in underneath. Little tiny hands, not these chuffing things, little tiny hand movements, and it'll all blend in. And again, I'll put picture up for a little bit longer so that you can see it. I were a little bit, you know, skeptical, I suppose, nervous. I was shitting myself, let's not kid ourselves here. The enamel thinners that I got is Humbrol enamel thinners, and again, I got it off Bridge. I'd seen that some people use lighter fluid, some people use expensive odorless turpentine and one thing and another, and you know, it's got to be a specialist product and everything. And I'm not kidding, I was like squeaky bum time, thinking if I dip this into this and I start blending this oil painting underneath this Tornado, my paint just goes, see ya. I've literally just knackered all my paintwork up. Well, use a test mule, you know, you daft sod. I did on a tiny little piece, on a little 2 sort of centimetre square piece, and I just thought, you know, let's go for it. And as it happens, it's worked. Now, obviously, you've just listened to me say all that, and you might think, oh, I wanted to do that, rewind. No, you don't need to rewind. I did it on a gloss coat. I put the oil onto me envelope, paper, so that the oil itself came away from the paint. I left it an hour or 2, dabbed a little paintbrush in, just dotted it in the areas that I wanted, light brown, dark brown, white, dipped my paintbrush into enamel thinners, wiped off the excess onto a blue kitchen towel, and then just carefully, I didn't press on, just very carefully let my hand just do the work, and that was the result. And I loved it that much, I did fuel tank. So it weren't such a bad thing, was it? Okay. Decals went down all smoothly, cockpit was nice, canopy was nice. I used Maskol for the first time in masking off the entire canopy. I did put the tape around the frame, over that part, down there, over that part and back. But then with a cocktail stick I use Maskol, because what I normally do is lather it with tape. Okay. But again, this time it was just convenience over tried and tested, if you will. Okay. And then last thing to go on, Pitted Chew and those tiny little, I think sort of right at the front end, there's a couple of aerials that are like that. And there's a couple, I think they're like wind speed indicated. Damn it. I'm waffling. But they stick into its side. It's built, it's done, and it looks absolutely lovely. It's got all the options open apart from a refueling probe. I'm looking down because pictures here, because originally, even though I've built 10 of them, I did set a Bridge. Do you want refueling probe open or closed? And he went, can I have it closed? And I went, no, you can't, you're having it open because it's a feature. But I actually forgot, you can't have this one open, it's got to be closed. It's all sunk into that body. Don't forget to drill them holes on inside, otherwise they'll not get it on. Okay. Can you hear my Yorkshire accent coming out? Paint job spot on, gloss spot on, deckling went down a tree. I've got canopy open, flaps down, the slats on the top of the wings, I actually scored them and cut them to put them into 2 halves as well. I picked that up from the Hobby Boss one because theirs comes in 2 sections. The stabilizers at the back are in a sort of like semi-inverted position. And I did find 2, I'm going to call them storm shadows, but I've been told from a couple of lads on the Tornado SIG site that they are not storm shadows because I think they've got ventricle intakes on these missiles. I actually got them off the Eurofighter build that I did. I save all my sprues, they're all in a tub over there. And I just thought, oh, you know, these belly pylons, actually what I wanted was sort of like 2, 4, 4 or £6,000 free falls. That's what I wanted. But when I looked through, I ain't got none. But while I was looking for them, I came across these. We'll call them storm shadows, but they might not be. I came across these two, and I thought, do you know what, Bridgie, you'll love them if I stick them on. And I've magnetised them as well onto the belly pylon, so I can just take them off if you don't want them on. But I've got absolutely no doubt they're on now, and in 12 months' time, they'll still be on. So that was it. A free commission build, which I've been paid for with a kit. Lovely. Done to the clients. Call him a client. Due to my clients' specifications. Revell 1 in 48 Tornado GR4. Done to the best that I can do it. Now, I might look back in that kit in like 2 years' time and go, what on earth was I thinking? Like I did with that one this morning. But you never know, do you? It's part of hobby, innit? That's why we love it. Constantly moving on. Constantly want to get better. I want to do this a little bit different. Okay, so that's just about it for that. I've got the 1 in 16 Soviet T34/85 to do next. And I'm a backwards builder, aren't I? So it's tracks first. So I can't wait to get stuck into that. I'm not a tank builder though, am I? No. So putting it together, I suppose, painting it and weathering it, and I want to do it in the winter scheme, all different kettle of fish. Now, I have got a friend, I think it's wrong word, an acquaintance on Facebook, Steve Taddy, he posts regularly on Weathered Models, which is a Facebook group, and I always nick his stuff, and I've spoke to Steve as well, Stevie, spoke to him through Messenger, you know, mate, chuffing hellfire, how do you do this, how do you do that, and I'm going to put a couple of pictures up of Stevie's work of a tank that he's done, because he can weather, he can weather. Do you know what I mean? He's that good. He's absolutely phenomenal. I love his work. So I've no doubt that I'll be getting into his ribs to say how did you do that again? But that's up next. Middle of January 2022. It's cold. COVID. Sometimes talk about COVID, don't tell me videos. Still here. We'll leave it at that. Great club this morning. 20 guys came down to club. Sesco and Emsworth Community Scale Model Club, including a new guy, Danny. Nice to see you, mate. And we got away without having to wear masks at club this morning because I told everybody it was a garden party. Stay safe. Take care. Catch you next time. Cheers.